Welcome to Midday Prime. In the next 1 hour, we'll bring you all the stories and updates from India and the world. We'll update you about the happenings in the world of business and sports, and we'll also get you some interesting stories that are making headlines. I'm Anil Thomas. Let's get started with the big news of this hour. Centre corners Congress party on human rights issue. MOS Home G. Kishan Reddy says in Lok Sabha that it was Modi government that maintained figures of sedition cases separately, unlike the earlier regimes. Minister says Modi government has nothing to hide. Union Railways Minister Piyush Goyal says government will never privatize railways as it is the national asset. Replying to debate on grants on railways, the minister says government committed to making railways engine of growth. Centre writes to Maharashtra of the beginning of a second wave of COVID. In a letter, Union Health Secretary urges state government to focus on containment strategies. Night curfew imposed in several cities of Gujarat. India scales peak after peak in its fight against COVID-19. More than 39,000 vaccine doses given in the last 24 hours, the highest so far. Vaccination of about 60 years beneficiaries touches 1 crore within 15 days. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to hold virtual summit with the Prime Minister of Finland, Sanna Marin. The summit will provide a blueprint for the future expansion and diversification of Indo-Finland partnership. The Inter-Parliamentary Union President addresses India's MPs in the presence of Prime Minister Modi. Lauds India's handling of COVID-19 pandemic, extols India's role in providing medical aid to various countries across the world during COVID-19 pandemic. Campaigning for assembly elections gained momentum. BJP President JP Nadda, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath spearheading the campaign for BJP in West Bengal. Mamata Banerjee to hold public rally in Bankura district. And in cricket, the third T20 International to begin today. BCCI and GCA decide to conduct the remaining 3 matches in closed doors due to rise in COVID-19 cases. Says will return the full ticket amount to the spectators. Well, those are the headlines at the top of this hour. Now for the bulletin in detail, starting first up with the big news. Well, Centre today cornered the Congress party on its allegations of declining standards of human rights in the country. Speaking in Lok Sabha, Minister of State for Home G. Kishan Reddy said that it was the NDA government led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi which started the practice of separately displaying cases of sedition, unlike the previous Congress regimes, which he said arrested people on draconian laws such as TADA.
मैं कांग्रेस पार्टी से ये बताना चाहता हूं, जो मिसयूज के बारे में जितना कम बात करते हो उतना अच्छा रहेगा। आप मीसा में लोकनायक जयप्रकाश नारायण जी से लेकर अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी, एल.के. आडवाणी जैसे लाखों लोगों को आप मीसा के अंदर मिसयूज करके आप जेल में लगाए। आप जितना कम बात करें तो मिसयूज के बारे में उतना अच्छा रहेगा। कोई अधिकार कांग्रेस पार्टी को नहीं है डेमोक्रेसी के बारे में बात करने का।
Well, Centre today assured that railways will never be privatized. Speaking on the discussion on grants for railways, Union Railways Minister Piyush Goyal today said that the NDA government will never privatize railways as it considers it a national asset. The minister, however, clarified that certain services can be given to private hands. He also asserted that the government is committed to making railways the engine of growth.
हमारे कई मित्र बोलते हैं कि आप कॉर्पोरेटाइज कर रहे हो, आप डिसइन्वेस्टमेंट कर रहे हो, आरोप लगता है कि प्राइवेटाइज कर रहे हो। मैं स्पष्ट कर दूं, भारतीय रेल को कभी प्राइवेटाइज नहीं होगी। भारतीय रेल भारत की संपत्ति है, भारत की रहेगी, भारत के लोगों की रहेगी। लेकिन आखिर रोड भी भारत की संपत्ति है, तो क्या कोई कहता है कि रोड पे सिर्फ सरकारी गाड़ियां चलेंगी? ऐसा तो कोई नहीं कहता है ना। रोड एक सुविधा बनी है, रोड के ऊपर जितनी ज्यादा गाड़ियां चलेंगी उतना देश का हित है। आपकी भी गाड़ी चले, सरकारी भी चले, बस भी चले, निजी क्षेत्र की बस भी चले, ट्रक चले, सब चलेंगे, उतने देश की आर्थिक प्रगति होगी, लोगों को सुविधा मिलेगी। तो क्या रेलवे लाइन अगर एक बार लग गई तो उस पर भी कोशिश नहीं होनी चाहिए कि अच्छी सुविधाएं हमारे यात्रियों को मिले?
Well, the president of the Inter-Parliamentarian Union or Inter-Parliament Union, IPU, Duarte Pacheco, is on a visit to India. The President Duarte today asserted the MPs in the Central Hall of Parliament in New Delhi. During the session, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha Harivansh Narayan Singh, Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla, Union Ministers and several MPs were also present. The IPU President lauded India's handling of COVID-19 pandemic. Not only this, the IPU President extolled India's role in providing medical aid to various countries across the world during the COVID-19 pandemic.
India is one example to the world, because with your courage, you take very hard measures, but also because you don't look just for you. Before the vaccine and after the vaccine, you give concrete help to so many nations of our world. Thank you so much for that.
Well, IPU President there expressing gratitude to India, saying that India is a special friend of Portugal. He added that Portugal and India share relations of over 500 years.
Thank you for your support across the election to the presidency of IPU. You have a friend, a special friend in IPU, ready to work side by side with you, with your parliament and with India. Portugal and India, with more than 500 years old of relations. So we know all each other so better that I may say we are not just friends, we are brothers in blood.
Well, the IPU President further went on to say that IPU is the oldest organization of global parliaments. He added that IPU won 2 Global Peace Prize for its peace work.
IPU is the oldest organization of a parliamentarian diplomacy, 130 years old. IPU won 2, not 1, 2 Nobel Peace Prizes because of its work. IPU defends democracy for all and put members from different parliaments discussing global problems to find global solutions. IPU defends democracy with more women and more young people. This is the way we will have a more inclusive democracy.
Well, during the session, the Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha, Harivansh Narayan Singh, said that the Inter-Parliamentary Union has played a crucial role in bringing parliamentary balance and implementing Global 2030 agenda for sustainable development.
Parliamentarians, as the representatives of the people, are in a unique position to influence their governments and shape public opinion on issues of contemporary times. The global challenges call for cooperation and coordination among all stakeholders, including parliaments, to address them effectively. IPU provides an ideal platform to parliamentarians to meet periodically and discuss such important issues, besides exchanging views on best parliamentary practices. Therefore, effective participation of parliamentarians in conferences and meetings organized by the IPU are of paramount importance to make it more resilient and stronger.
Well, Deputy Chairman Lok Sabha Harivansh Narayan Singh further said that this special event has been organized to felicitate the new president of IPU.
This special event has been organized by the Indian Parliamentary Group to facilitate His Excellency Mr. Duarate Pacheco, President of the Inter-Parliamentary Union. IPU, in its existence of more than 130 years, has played an important role in bringing parliamentary dimension to the global governance and the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The three standing committees of IPU on peace and international security, sustainable development, finance and trade, and democracy and human rights sum up the essence of this inter-parliamentary organization.
Well, Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla stressed on the need of parliament diplomacy across the world. He added that there is a need for interaction between democratic parliaments of the world so that they can exchange their best practices.
वर्तमान वैश्विक परिदृश्य में जब लोकतंत्र पूरी दुनिया में विस्तार हो रहा है, मेरी अपेक्षा है कि पूरी दुनिया में पार्लियामेंट डिप्लोमेसी बढ़े। लोकतांत्रिक देशों की संसदों के बीच नियमित संवाद हो, आपसी विचार हो, ताकि हम एक दूसरे की बेस्ट प्रैक्टिस का लाभ उठा सकें। हमारी संसदीय पद्धतियां, नियम प्रक्रियाएं और अधिक लोकतांत्रिक हो।
Lok Sabha Speaker also said that Parliament of any country should respect the independence of Parliament of another democracy and should not debate decisions taken by other house.
मेरे विचार में किसी देश की संसद को अन्य लोकतांत्रिक देश की संसद द्वारा लिए गए सप्रमुख निर्णयों या संसद से संबंधित विषयों पर चर्चा नहीं करना चाहिए। सभी लोकतांत्रिक देशों की संसदों को एक दूसरे की मर्यादा का परस्पर सम्मान करना चाहिए।
Meanwhile, Minister of External Affairs Dr. S. Jaishankar today met the IPU President and expressing confidence in the IPU President's leadership. Dr. S. Jaishankar said IPU would continue to strengthen democratic multilateralism during Pacheco's stint in the office. Taking to Twitter, Dr. S. Jaishankar said, and I quote, "Pledged to meet the IPU President. I deeply appreciate his address at the Parliament today. Confident that under his leadership, IPU will continue to strengthen democratic multilateralism." In the Rajya Sabha, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman told members of Parliament that the government has already released the MP Local Area Development Fund for 2019-20. The minister also informed that no MP-led fund will be provided between 2020 and 22 owing to the COVID-19 pandemic.
1920, the year before the corona thing happened, every commitment which has been made by honorable MPs will be fulfilled. However, as was the instruction or as was the notification made for the year 2021 and for the year 21-22, no new commitments on MP lads will be entertained. That rule remains. With that rule remaining in place for the year before 2020, that is 1920, every commitment will be fluid and money has been cleared.
Please, Suniya, come se kam, that was also a concern.
Money has been cleared from Ministry of Finance. MOSPI, the Statistics and Program Implementation Ministry, has also assured me that they will immediately send the money to the districts. Honorable MPs can please approach their district.
Well, for joining us more with regards to the Parliament developments is our correspondent Vishal joining us live for more updates on that particular story. Vishal, good afternoon. Starting first up, let's come to the top story there. You know, discussion on human rights issue that's been the focus of a discussion in Parliament today. How did it go about, and what did the MOSM clearly try to drive home, especially the point when it comes to numbers on human rights?
Well, a very good afternoon to you, Anil. Yes, the matter started off with the MP from Congress party is asking the government to be very clear as far as the figures are concerned as to how many cases have been registered under sedition cases. When the minister gave away the figures which were available till 2019 only, the MP from the Congress party insisted that he was more concerned about cases registered recently, particularly on the 26th of January, when some of the so-called farmers, they laid a literal siege to the Red Fort, to which the minister said that the Congress party has no right. Remember the draconian laws of Tada and Misa, when not even the former prime ministers like Atal Bihari Vajpayee and L. K. Advani were spared. What are you asking for? We have a separate figure. Earlier, before 2014, before Modi government took the office, these figures were not maintained, but we have prepared a separate figure. We are not hiding anything. We are prepared for anything, and there is total transparency, but the Congress should not pick hue and cry, because the government is committed towards maintaining law and order in the country. Anil?
Okay, also shifting to, the issue on railways, the minister there, the railways minister, clearly laying out the bare facts, when it comes to, the so-called talks about, privatization of railways. He clearly once again, on the floor of the House, quelling all the doubts that were there in the minds of MPs with regards to railways being a national asset and being developed, but certain elements of which could be privatized for the betterment of railways.
Well, absolutely, Anil, because yesterday the lower house was extended for 2 hours first, then 15 minutes, because everybody wanted to be part of the discussion, especially on the grants as far as railways are concerned. So the minister's reply could not be heard yesterday, but today the minister made it very clear that the railways is the national pride of the country, and it will never be privatized, at least not with the Modi government in office. All they want is that the railways should become the engine of a development, and for that we would like to have investment. And why not? Because if you want better services for the passengers, better services as far as the rail connectivity is concerned, you need to have more and more investment, and this is what the government is more focused on. So it clearly dispelled all the fears and doubts, and also the fake news, I would rather say, as has been spread by a section of the opposition parties, that the government is hell-bent towards selling off railways. Anil?
Okay, also with regards to the IPU president there in town, the first, he's on a 7-day visit, but today in Parliament, the Speaker of Lok Sabha clearly driving home a point with regards to, no interference there from, decisions taken in Indian Parliament and vice versa. Clearly a point being driven home with the IPU president very much in town.
Well, absolutely. I would say rather the IPU president making a huge statement, Anil, and I would like to quote him, that India is committed towards upholding democratic values, and it is visible every day, quote unquote. Now this statement comes under the vicious, at a time when there is a vicious attack by a section of the Western media questioning the democratic values of the largest democracy of the world, and the IPU's president's statement makes it very clear that India always upholds democratic values. And also he went on to say that the way India has handled the COVID situation under Prime Minister Narendra Modi, not only within the country but also reaching out to the world, has set an exemplary example as far as how to lead the country, how to lead the world, how to take on the responsibility not only for your country but also for all those who are in need. And also he said that this is the oldest organization, IPU, which is more than 100 years old, and when the president of such an organization which has had 2 Nobel Peace Prize winners, definitely it's a huge statement, and that will go very well with our friends across the world, and with a pinch of salt to our foes in the world as well. Anil?
Okay. Also with regards to, today is the second day after that long 4-day break that Parliament is working. How do you see Parliament business there, in both houses of Parliament? Do you see that working smoothly and more business being transacted there in both the houses?
Well, absolutely. So far so good, Anil, because yesterday also, as I informed our viewers, that the House in the Lok Sabha was extended for 2 hours and 15 minutes. Let me
Okay.
also tell you that there was no lunch break yesterday, and today also, as Lok Sabha that was, and today also the both houses are functioning very well. You heard Nirmala Sitharaman making it very clear that MP leads will not be issued because of the COVID situation, but before 2020 all the funds have been issued and disbursed rather. You can get it from the district or level officers. This is what the message from the finance minister, and an important statement from the health minister as well, as far as the upper house of the parliament. Harshvardhan has made it very clear that we have given vaccines to 72 countries, but that does not mean that we are not concerned about our own people, about the requirement of our own people. That would be that is being catered and that has been taken care of. So you need not worry as far as the demand and supply of the vaccines in the country is concerned. But yes, we are there to offer any kind of help anybody requiring in any part of the world. Anil?
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you and appreciate you joining us, Vishal Baristo, giving us those updates there from Parliament. Well, let's now move on to our next story. That's our next developing story. Well, the Maharashtra government has announced new restrictions to curb the rising COVID-19 cases. The new COVID-19 restrictions will remain in place till the 31st of March across the state. According to the new guidelines, all restaurants, hotels and cinema halls will have been ordered to operate at 50% or half the capacity. The state government has put a cap of 50 people in place for weddings, while all other public gatherings, social, cultural, political and religious, have been completely banned. Maximum 20 people will be allowed at funerals. Offices except related to health and other essential services have been asked to operate at 50% strength and encourage work from home. So clearly, the Maharashtra government clearly now stressing with regards to how 50% of workforce needs to be seen and stringent measures being brought into place to keep things under check and keep that COVID-19 pandemic from spreading. Well, let's now cut across live to a correspondent Shishir joining us with more updates there with regards to the western state of Maharashtra. Shishir, coming to you. Good afternoon. Looking at the way things stand, there is a set of guidelines that's been put in place by the Maharashtra state government, but how difficult, how easy is it for people who are implementing it and people who are checking it, to keep things under check?
Well, absolutely, Anil. If you look at the numbers are increasing day by day here. Now it has reached almost 15 to 16,000 per day. That's what the number Maharashtra is registering every day.
Okay.
Of course, in February, if you look at the numbers were actually down to 1,000 to 2,000 per day. But since then, we have seen quite spike in this number. Now, obviously, as you rightly said here, that the most important aspect to reduce this number is people awareness, and that's what the government is doing. If we talk about the rules, these rules were already existed during previous peak time also. These rules have already announced by the government, but later on, as the number reduced, these rules have started loosening up. Even right now, if you take these numbers, the 50% capacity in mall and multiplexes, now the government is saying that these rules need to be implemented properly, and that will be the focus area of the state government here. Let me tell you that just few days back, a center team actually visited Maharashtra, and they visited the Nashik, Dhule and Aurangabad district also, and they have checked the current situation in this entire districts here. What the center team has said now, they have already submitted their summary report to the Maharashtra government, depending on the facts also, and they also had a meeting with the chief ministers and officials a few days back here. Now the center is saying that probably this is the beginning of the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Okay, Shishir, now you mentioned about,
but in spite of that,
you mentioned about February where cases were looking down. What do you see, the sudden spike in cases? What are the reasons, that the state government has been able to pinpoint? You had a team from the center there to help the state, but what are the reasons for this particular spike in cases?
If you look at the state government's version, state government saying that right now people probably are not following the COVID protocols, appropriate behavior here, not using proper mask also, not maintaining social distancing also. That is the main reason that state government is saying that number are increasing in Maharashtra. Be it the tier 1 cities like Mumbai, Pune, Nasik and Nagpur. Apart from that, now the numbers have started coming from the rural areas as well, be it from Vidarbha also, Marathwada region also. The numbers are increasing day by day, and that's what the worrisome factor. State government has said that they don't want to impose a lockdown in the state here, but they're left with no choice if these numbers are keep increasing here. At this point in time, when Health Minister Rajesh Tope said that they have no intention to impose lockdown, but the stricter implementation of the COVID appropriate behavior and the rules and regulations set by the government is the need of the hour. That's what he said here. But looking, obviously, these numbers are increasing day by day. Government have to focus on implementation of these important guidelines set by the center and the state also. Now, as far as the vaccination is concerned, let me tell you, Anil, that vaccination is going on in full swing here. The different centers across Maharashtra have been provided with adequate supply of the vaccination. Many of the people have already taken their second doses as well, and that's the reason it seems that at one hand government is fighting with the COVID situation. On the other hand, vaccination drive is going on in full swing with the help of the center here.
Okay, Shishir, one quick word from you before I let you go. Purely in terms of rise in numbers, vaccination being carried out, but is the rising number more of cases that are being moved to the hospital, or is it more cases of home isolation there? That could see a recovery in around 7 to 10 days time?
Well, absolutely. That particular point was raised in a summary report which is submitted by the central team to the state government here. It said that the as far as the home isolation is concerned, needs to be, or the quarantine system needs to be reviewed once again, because most of the people have been sent to the home isolation. As a result, you see that numbers are increasing here. So nearly 80 to 85% people who have been sent to the home quarantine need to check whether they are following the COVID appropriate behavior or not. That needs to be checked again. That policy needs to be reviewed again. And that's the reason now, as you rightly said here, the home isolation numbers are increasing here. The government, it's on the state government part to check whether to keep those people at the home isolation or move them into quarantine centers if required.
Okay, we'll leave it there. I'll expect you to take good care of yourself. We'll come back to you for more updates from the state of Maharashtra there. Thank you and appreciate your joining us on Midday Prime. Well, moving on, in view of the increasing cases of COVID-19, Gujarat has also imposed fresh restrictions from the 17th of March. The districts where it has been introduced is Ahmedabad, Surat, Rajkot and Vadodara are the four major cities in which will undergo strict night curfew from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning. Curfew orders are extended up to 31st of March. Well, for more of the story, Nishit Joshi, our correspondent, joining us from Ahmedabad, giving us more updates. Nishit, there is a spike in the number of cases, but purely only 4 cities that are under the scanner or a cause of concern, or and what's the control there, especially when it comes to the state purely in terms of numbers of COVID-19 cases?
Yes, I mean, definitely the government of Gujarat has taken a decision in today's morning core committee meeting to implement night curfew in 4 major cities of the state. That is, you have already mentioned Ahmedabad, Vadodara, Surat and Rajkot. Daily during 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. with effect from 17th March. This decision will be effective till 31st of March for 16th March. Today night curfew will be effective during 12 midnight to 6 a.m. The state recorded yesterday 890 new cases of COVID-19 as per the latest bulletin of Health Department. Active cases in the state are over 4,700 and 4 major cities where night curfew is already effective for 12 midnight to 6 a.m. Delhi are witnessing highest number of cases compared to other places in the state. So the government has in its latest decision declared today has extended night curfew time for 2 more hours. And let me tell you one thing, Anil, that as far as other districts are concerned, in the evening the decision will be taken whether what to do as far as the curfew is concerned. Anil.
Okay, Nishit, one quick word before I let you go. Nishit, purely looking at the way things stand, 4 cities where cases are increasing. But having said that, what's the reason that the state government has been stating for this rise in the number of cases?
Anil, because the schools are also opening now. So if we talk about the educational activities are also, are also becoming offline. Let me talk about the Surat city and Surat districts. Yesterday 240 cases registered positive. So in schools, it is a surprise thing that in schools the COVID cases are rising, and so the administration has taken a decision that if more than 5 cases are registered in one school, the whole school will be closed and in one classroom, if 2 cases are positive, then the classroom will be closed. And today, the exams have started in Baroda, also in MS University first year BCom. So in 9,000 students are appearing for online exams. They are appearing for online. They will not go for offline. And in Rajkot also, the administration is insisting to keep to maintain social distance, to use the sanitizer, and to wear a mask to the people.
Okay.
Anil.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you and appreciate you joining us, Nisit Joshi, with those updates there from the state of Gujarat. So a clear-cut instruction there, people, irrespective of the 2 states that we spoke about, Maharashtra as well as Gujarat, it's an humble request that you need to maintain social distancing. You need to wear your mask at all times. Wash your hands if possible. Use a hand sanitizer to keep yourself clean. Remember, there is vaccine that's round the corner, but the battle against COVID-19 still continues. So do not forget that and keep taking good care of not only yourself, but also your loved ones. Well, moving on to our national prime segment. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will hold a virtual summit with the Prime Minister of Finland, Sanna Marin, today. India and Finland enjoy warm and friendly relations based on shared values of democracy, freedom and rules-based international order. During the summit, the 2 leaders will cover the entire spectrum of bilateral relations and will also exchange views on regional and global issues of mutual interest. The virtual summit will provide a blueprint for the future expansion and diversification of India-Finland partnership. Both sides also have ongoing collaboration in the joint development of a quantum computer using artificial intelligence to address societal challenges. Well, our correspondent Arun Sharma joining us with more updates on this virtual summit between India and Finland. Arun, looking at the way things stand, especially India's relation with another Nordic country, Prime Minister laying stress on that. What's the importance that Prime Minister, especially when it comes to Nordic countries and, the importance that they hold in their bilaterals with India?
Absolutely, Anil. We have seen that during the COVID pandemic time, India has engaged with various countries, virtually via virtual summits. And the focus, has also been on the Nordic countries. We have seen how earlier Prime Minister Narendra Modi has engaged in the virtual summits with countries like Denmark, Sweden, and now Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be interacting with the Prime Minister of Finland. Now, this is going to be very much significant from technological aspect. Now, when we look at from Finland perspective, well, as of now, Finland is looking forward or looking to explore opportunities for investment, because we know this fact Finland is way too ahead as far as technology is concerned. So how can various investment opportunities can be explored in various regions? So how so India is looking as a very lucrative destination as far as investments are concerned. So in that context, Finland will try to explore various opportunities as far as investment is concerned. I mean, more than 100 Finnish companies are already having their establishments as far as India is concerned. More than 30 Indian companies are already investing heavily in Finland. So now the focus is as to how can the Finland or primarily Finnish companies can invest in India. Okay. So on the other side, India will look forward to roll out the red carpet for these Finnish companies. That's number one. How can more and more investments can be attracted from Finland side of the Nordic countries under the Make in India initiative of the government? That is what India will be looking for. That's number one. Number two will be the green energy aspect. We know this fact that how India is gradually ramping up its, electric vehicle segment capacities, or maybe the electronical segment capacities. We have seen how PLI scheme has been given green signal by government. Expansion of PLI scheme has been done. So in that context, how can green technology be explored? How can India explore green technology from Finland? Because Finland is way too ahead as far as green technology and of course AI is concerned. That's number two. Last but not least, the focus is very much likely on the education sector. It is already a consortium of the Nordic countries with India as far as research and development, innovation is concerned, as far as education, strengthening of education system is concerned, and how recently India has given approval and has permitted the new education policy. So how can these two things, the consortium of the Nordic countries of education and the NEP of India, how can they blend together so that well-reputed and big universities can come in India, can invest in India. So the key word will be, of course, the technological part, and in that also two subsets will be the artificial intelligence and, of course, the electronic manufacturing, or of course the electric vehicle segment, the infrastructure for electric vehicle segment. That can be very much likely on the cards as far as the summit.
Arun, also an important element, every European country has got strong financial technology. Is that one more aspect that could be up for discussion, considering we are going big when it comes to digital economy?
Oh, absolutely. So we know this fact that as of now, between India and Finland, there is already a collaboration going on between, as far as the quantum computers are concerned.
Okay.
These quantum computers are the backbone of the digital India. This fact that these quantum computers are used as far as stock markets are concerned, fintechs are concerned, the fintech technology, fintech primarily is concerned, as far as digital India is concerned. And as Prime Minister Narendra Modi has, given a clarion call and has announced from the ramparts of Red Fort last year that the 1,000 villages, all the villages of our country will be connected in next 1,000 days with optical fiber connectivity. So the quantum computer plays an important role as far as the digital infrastructure, digital backbone of the country is concerned. And there is already collaboration happening between India and Finland in that aspect. So yes, on one side, Finland is looking forward to explore opportunities of investment in the post-COVID world. So on the other side, India will look forward to attract more and more investments, be it the Nordic countries, the European countries, and of course specifically Finland as well, as to how can red carpet welcome can be given to the investors of Finland. Number one, how can more investments can be attracted from these companies, so that Make in India initiative of our country can get a major push.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you and appreciate you joining us, giving us those inputs, especially when it comes to the significance of India-Finland relations and taking things forward with a blueprint for the future. Well, United Kingdom Prime Minister Boris Johnson will be visiting India at the end of April. This will be Boris Johnson's first major international trip after Britain's exit from the European Union. Boris Johnson had planned an Indian trip in January as part of the efforts to speed up trade talks between the two nations, but was forced to cancel amid a surge of COVID-19 infections at home. UK's Prime Minister's office said that he had hoped to rearrange the visit before Britain hosted the meeting of leaders from the Group of 7 Rich Nations in June, which Prime Minister Narendra Modi is due to attend as a visitor. Britain's government said it would tilt its focus towards the Indo-Pacific region as part of its integrated review of government policy for the coming years. UK's government has also said that the area increasingly represents the geopolitical centre of the world. Well, as the dates of polls are coming closer, campaigning is getting even more intense. The Bharatiya Janata Party star campaigners are strongly campaigning in West Bengal and Assam. Today, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath campaigned for the BJP in West Bengal. Rajnath Singh also addressed an election rally. Earlier, Union Home Minister and BJP leader Amit Shah held an election rally in Jhargram and Bankura in West Bengal. BJP's National President JP Nadda campaigned in Assam's Lakhimpur and Nagaon. In a virtual address to the rally in Jhargram, Amit Shah mentioned the development work being done by the centre and reiterated the party's resolve to make basic amenities available to the people of the state to make Sonar Bangla. On the other hand, Devshri, another Trinamool Congress MLA, resigned yesterday. Mamata Banerjee also held 2 election rallies to give a boost to the party's election campaign. She addressed an election rally in Purulia and attacked the BJP, claiming Trinamool's victory. In Assam, elections will be taking place for 126 seats. The BJP is strongly campaigning in the eastern state. The national president of the party commanding the campaign in the state, JP Nadda, took over, whereas in Guwahati, Amit Shah also rallied among people to spread the party's reach. Down south, the Congress party today released its manifesto for the upcoming Tamil Nadu elections at its party office in Chennai. Former Union Minister and BJP candidate for Kanyakumari Lok Sabha by-election Pon Radhakrishnan has filed his nomination papers with Kanyakumari District Election Officer and District Collector M. Arvind. Earlier on Monday, Makkal Nidhi Mayyam chief and actor turned politician Kamal Hassan filed his nomination from Coimbatore South, constituency for the Tamil Nadu Assembly polls. Well, for more on the election heat covering there on Ground Zero is our correspondent Abhishek Jha joining us with more updates on Tamil Nadu political scenario. Abhishek, good afternoon. First of all, Abhishek, the way things stand, today Congress released its manifesto, but how big is a player, especially in the southern state of Tamil Nadu? How is the election heating up? Is it going to be two regional forces, with the national parties in support clearly, going hammer and tongs, or do you see regional forces also having a big role to play in this particular state election?
Talking about Tamil Nadu politics, Anil, we know that in the last 3-4 decades at least, Tamil Nadu has been bipolar in terms of AIDMK and DMK winning the state assembly election alternatively. This was quite an exception when AIDMK continuously won the election, and it's been almost 10 years since AIDMK has been ruling the state, and that anti-incumbency factor is still there. We'll have to see how much it actually plays up in the upcoming election. Talking about the prospect of INC or the Congress party is almost kind of under the shadow of a DMK party here, because the last election it has fought, it has won very less seats, almost 40 seats it was given, and it didn't win enough seats. So this time around the number of seats allocated to Congress party has been substantially reduced, and it's fighting on somewhere around like 24 odd seats in the state election. Okay. Because the party wants to remain relevant in this state of South India, it has to have some sort of alignment with one party, and DMK comes handy with this Congress ideology. Okay. So Congress Party's manifesto, though it promises lots of employment opportunity to the youth, almost 500 youth will be employed in every district. It has also said about this women voters, trying to woo the women voter. It has said that liquor shops across the state will be shut. Remember, this is one of the promise that AIDMK has also promised to the people in the state, that these Tasmak shops will be phased out in a regular manner. Okay,
Abhishek, this is the first election minus no Karunanidhi, no Jayalalitha. But we've seen actor turned politicians not having a good run there, especially in Tamil Nadu. We've seen Vijay Khan struggling. Now you have Kamal Hassan there in the fray. How do you see the prospect of Kamal Hassan and his party?
Talking about Kamal Hassan, he's been trying to create some ripple around this political scenario of the state. In the last 2-3 years, he has done some sort of groundwork also, when he's been trying to enlarge its cadre base. In the 2019 election, almost 4% of voter percentage he's also been able to garner. But then that was the voter percentage across the state. Okay. On a particular assembly seat to win an election, Kamal Hassan needs at least 30% seats of a particular constituencies to win. So will he be able to make a dent at any constituency across the state? That we'll have to see, because Kamal Hassan is coming up with a very unique fan following base, and he's also promised a lot of corruption-free government, and in fact everything that he can promise, because he doesn't have to deliver, and he's not been he can't be questioned, because he's not done anything past in the being at the helm of the state government or doing
he comes with
job. He has promised a lot to the people, but how much of those promises will actually turn into votes, that we'll have to see.
Okay, he comes with no baggage of the past, and that could be a big advantage. We'll leave it there. Thank you and appreciate you joining us. Remember, Tamil Nadu goes to polls on the 6th of April, while the counting of votes will take place on the 2nd of May. Well, moving on now to our next segment. It's getting you all the latest news and updates from the world of business. Well, I've got my colleague standing by there, Ajay Mishra, getting us more updates on the markets. Ajay, how do you see the markets today? Is it choppy or is it one directional?
Good afternoon, Anil. I think they have lost all the gains that was there in the morning, and the Indian markets traded over 0.5% higher in Tuesday late morning deal, with a major contribution from information technology stocks. Among the headline indices, the S&P BSE Sensex gained 280 points to 50,700 level, and the Nifty 50 index reclaimed the 15,000 mark. The Asian Paints were up 3%. It was the top Sensex gainer, followed by Ultratech Cement, that was up 2%. Besides IT stock, Infosys, TCS, HCL Tech and Tech Mahindra, they traded over 1% each. Among other individual stocks, Tata Communications slipped over 7%. as the offer for sale to divest government's shareholding in the company opened for institutional investors at the floor price of 1,161 per share. The Nifty sectoral indices were mixed, with Nifty IT index up 1.3%, leading the gainers. And the companies launching their IPOs this week are manifold. There are Kalyan Jewelers IPO is opening today, Craftsman Automation, Lakshmi Organics, Suryoday Small Finance Bank, and Nazara Technologies, the mobile gaming company which is backed by the investor Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, are among some of the good IPOs. Each of the company has its own unique position, but and they could they could have a strong opening, but that does not mean that it will have a long-term good track record going forward. So it's a tricky call. If you want to go invest in the IPOs, you have to actually invest in details and research in details. India's export grew 0.67% to $27.93 billion in February, while import rose almost 7% to $40.54 billion. This is according to data released on Monday. The trade deficit has widened to $12.62 billion in February compared to $10.16 billion a year ago period. India's merchandise trade deficit stood at $14.54 billion in January 2021. Export during April-February period has contracted by 12.23%, $256 billion as compared to $292 billion in the year ago period. The imports during April-February period dipped 23% to $341 billion. In February, oil import declined almost 17% to $9 billion. Major commodities of export that have recorded positive growth during February are rice, meat, dairy and poultry products, carpet, spices, pharmaceuticals and chemicals. So that's all in the world of finance. For more news and updates, let's go back to Anil.
Well, thank you, Arun, thank you, Ajay, for giving us those updates from the world of business. Clearly a word of caution there. Clearly, when it comes to the new IPOs, clearly laying out that stress. Ajay, they're clearly laying out the stress with regards to research being needed when it comes to investing in new IPOs. Well, let's now take a look at what's making news across the globe. Well, starting first up, United Nations on Monday said that at least 138 protesters have been killed in Myanmar since the 1st of Feb coup, in which the military took over power from the civilian government headed by the state councillor Aung San Suu Kyi. The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres in a statement said he is appalled by the escalating violence in Myanmar at the hands of the military. The military government, in an order issued on Monday, extended the martial law in Dagon Mayotit township and Oklapa township in Yangon region. The protesters have announced that funerals would be organized today for the people killed in the police firing on Monday. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken on Tuesday called for deeper cooperation between U.S. and Japan as he and the Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin seek to use their first trip abroad to strengthen Asian alliances in the face of China's assertiveness. Their visit to Tokyo and Seoul is the first overseas visit by top cabinet members of President Joe Biden's team and follows a virtual summit last week of the leaders, the United States, Japan, Australia and India, the Quad Alliance. During the meeting with Motegi, Anthony Blinken said he wanted to work with Japan and allies on the denuclearization of North Korea. He also said Tokyo and Washington shared commitment to democracy, human rights and rule of law. After the Seoul leg, Blinken will fly to Alaska, where he'll be joined by the National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan for their first in-person talks with Chinese counterparts. Well, a quick look at COVID-19 updates from across the world on the numbers. The global COVID-19 case tally has now crossed 12 crore mark 2 days ago, and it stands at 12 crore 7 lakh cases. The tally of recovery stand at over 9 crore 74 lakhs. Total deaths 26 lakh 72,000. United States continues to be the worst affected from the pandemic, both in terms of infections and fatalities. In terms of infections, the number crossing 3 crore 1 lakh. In terms of death, the number is now over 5 lakh 48,000 deaths in the United States of America. Well, as Syria marks a decade of conflict, the United Nations expressed profound regret on Monday that it has not yet been able to mediate an end to the civil war. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that Syria is a living nightmare where about half the children have never lived a day without war and 60% of Syrians are at risk of going hungry. Well, time now to get you the latest from the world of sports. Well, I've got Suchitra standing by to give us the latest from the world of sports. Over to you, Suchitra.
Thank you, Anil. Let's start with cricket. India will take on England in the third match of the T20 series today. The hosts made a roaring comeback in the second match to level the 5-match series 1-1. Both the teams are expected to make some changes in the playing 11 for this match.
India would look to continue its winning run in the 5-match T20 international series when Virat Kohli-led side takes on England cricket team in the third T20 at Ahmedabad on Tuesday. The men in blue made a roaring comeback in the second T20 match and defeated England by 7 wickets to level the series. However, KL Rahul's form at the top of the batting is still a concern for the team and he may get dropped from the India playing 11 for the third T20. The Indian captain surprised everybody by picking 2 debutants, Ishan Kishan and Surya Kumar Yadav in the India playing 11 for the second T20. While Ishan Kishan made a statement by sending English bowlers on a leather hunt, Surya Kumar did not get a chance to bat as India overhauled the target easily. It is expected that both the players will get an extended run in the tournament. Meanwhile, Rahul, who scored just one run in 2 matches, may get replaced by vice-captain Rohit Sharma at the top of the batting order. England, on the other hand, missed the services of Mark Wood in the second T20 and he might return to England playing 11 for the third match. The visitors may rejig their batting order and push Ben Stokes up the order as the southpaw seemed to be out of sorts at number 6. The England team management might include Moeen Ali in the playing 11 to counter Rishabh Pant and Kishan. Sports Desk, DD India.
And the remaining 3 T20 internationals between India and England in Ahmedabad will be played behind closed doors due to increasing number of corona cases. The BCCI and the Gujarat Cricket Association made the decision on Monday. The GCA will refund the spectators who had purchased tickets for the games. Along with the T20Is, the 3 ODIs scheduled for March 23rd, 26th and 28th in Pune will also be played behind closed doors as per the instructions of the Maharashtra government. On to football now. Diogo Jota scored the winner against his former club as Liverpool beat Wolverhampton 1-0 in English Premier League. A run of 6 successive home league defeats has left Liverpool with an uphill task to qualify for the Champions League next season. But Klopp's men have now won 6 of their last 7 games away from Anfield. Victory moved the English champions back up to 6th and within 5 points of 4th placed Chelsea. Barcelona continued their incredible run of form in La Liga with their 11th win in the last 12 games thanks to a 4-1 victory over Huesca at Camp Nou. Barca dominated the weakest team in the league and scored some really good goals, and they have now cut Atletico Madrid's lead to just 4 points to truly make this a title race. Messi scored his side's first and 4th goals as Barca climbed into 2nd place in the table. Messi matched Xavi's all-time appearance record in the Barcelona shirt, a career which includes winning 34 trophies and now scoring 661 goals since he made his debut in 2004 with 27 so far this season. Real Madrid will take on Atlanta in the round of 16 of Champions League tonight. Real Madrid are looking to progress to the quarterfinals of Champions League for the first time in 3 seasons after falling at this hurdle in each of the previous 2 campaigns. They are well placed to go through against Atlanta after winning the first leg 1-0 in Italy. The Serie A side was reduced to 10 men in that game. Real Madrid are winless in their last 4 home games in the knockout stages of the Champions League, including defeats in each of the last 2. Atlanta are on the longest current run of away victories of any team in the Champions League, having won each of their last 5. Manchester City will take on Borussia Mönchengladbach in Champions League round of 16 tonight. The Premier League leaders boast a 2-goal advantage against their Bundesliga opponents ahead of the home game in Budapest. City's run of 21 consecutive wins came to an end in the derby defeat to Manchester United, but they have since shown that to be a blip with big wins over Southampton and Fulham. Gladbach, so poor in the first leg, have endured a dismal run of results, also losing all 4 of their matches since then, falling into the bottom half of the Bundesliga. So those were some sports updates. Over to you, Anil.
Well, thank you, Suchitra, for taking us through all the latest in the world of sports. It's time now for our next segment, Live Prime, where we get you stories from the world of art, culture, cinema, fashion, science and innovation. Well, nominations for the Oscars, the highest film owners, were announced on Monday by actress Priyanka Chopra Jonas and her husband Nick Jonas from London through a virtual meet. David Fincher produced period drama Monk is leading the Academy Award nominations with 10 nods. The awards will be presented on April 25th.
David Fincher helmed period drama Mank is leading the Oscar nominations with 10 nods, including for Best Picture, Director and for actors Gary Oldman and Amanda Seyfried. The Netflix 1930s Hollywood film is based on the life and work of screenwriter Herman Mankiewicz. He wrote the screenplay of all-time classic Hollywood blockbuster Citizen Kane. Netflix led all outlets with 35 nods after a year in which the health crisis saw movie studios delay scores of new releases or send them to streaming platforms.
Dad, I'd like you to meet Laura.
Other Best Picture nods went to dementia drama The Father, Black Panther Story, Judas and the Black Messiah, Korean language drama Minari, Nomadland, #MeToo Revenge Tale, Promising Young Woman, deaf drama Sound of Metal, and 1960s Vietnam war courtroom drama The Trial of the Chicago 7, all of which got 6 nods in total. The announcements across the 23 categories were made by Priyanka Chopra Jonas and Nick Jonas on Monday from London through a virtual event. Another round, a film from Denmark, is among the 5 movies nominated for the Foreign Language Film Academy Award. Directed by Thomas Winterberg, another round stars Mads Mikkelsen, a film about a group of teachers who make a pact to consume a small amount of alcohol each day in the hope it will improve the quality of their lives. Incidentally, it was the opening film at IFFI this year. A record 76 nominations went to women. It is for the first time that 2 women have been nominated for Best Director in the 93rd Academy Awards. Chloe Zhao has been nominated for Nomadland, while Emerald Fennell has been nominated for Promising Young Woman. The Oscars will be handed out at a ceremony in Los Angeles on the 25th of April and will take place at both the Dolby Theatre in Hollywood and for the first time at Union Station in downtown Los Angeles. The form of the ceremony is not yet known. Bureau Report, DD India.
That's all we have time for in this edition of Midday Prime. We're going to be back again same time, same channel. Until then, take care and stay safe.